It seems like it's been forever since I've released a game review. Hell, it's been several weeks since I've released any video period. There's been a lot going on, and I'll have another video released later this week with some announcements, but until then I'll hold you over with Obsidian Entertainment and Square-Enix's latest dungeon crawler, Dungeon Siege 3. Released last Tuesday, this isometric hack and slash has received a lot of mixed reception, and to me has a series of highs and lows that in the end really just make it a rather mediocre game.
We are the 10th Legion, exiles from a dying empire who founded the Kingdom of Ebb. For 400 years, we guided and protected our people. We gave them peace, prosperity, fair judgment.
Having not played the two previous entries in the series, I thought initially that I was not going to understand what was going on, but the game does a decent job of explaining the events in the past that have led up to the adventure you're about to embark on. Essentially, a group of warriors known as the Legion established themselves as the protectors of the people while allowing a monarchy to reign over the lands. When the king is murdered, a woman by the name of Jane Cassinder accuses the Legion for his death and rallies the people to go on a manhunt to destroy every last member. 30 years later, an old man by the name of Odo has set up a secret meeting to gather up the surviving members of the Legion to investigate what really happened and to regain their footholds as the rightful protectors of the realm. In the end, I didn't find the story to be that interesting nor really epic by any means, but it serves as a good placeholder to tie together the classic dungeon crawling action you'd come to expect from a title like this. In classic Obsidian fashion, the speech and dialogues are set up in a manner that allows you to determine the course of the story and that your decisions will have a great effect on the events that take place down the road. As you engage in conversation, it feels like you're performing investigations, and that there are several directions that you can take the story, which will give you different adventures and endings. You play through the game as one of 4 characters, and each will offer subtle differences in the way the story unfolds for you. Lucas is a tank or melee fighter, Angeli is a magical being that can fly and shoot fire, Reinhardt is a mage of arcane and entropic magic, and Katarina wields rifles, pistols, and short-ranged magic. Each character has 2 fighting styles that over time unlock 6 different offensive abilities. In addition, all characters will learn 3 defensive moves, like the ability to heal or buff their attack power and defense. As you level, new moves will become unlocked, and you can spend points to enhance them. In the single-player campaign, you can select from one of 3 additional companions to play with you at any time, and they may be swapped on the fly. With this, you'll need to maintain their abilities as well as their inventory and equipment. The loot in the game is almost too much to keep up with since there's just so much of it and you have to maintain it for all of the characters. But this gives you a wide variety of ways to build each of them up, so it's kind of a catch-22. In the end though, your characters will start to look pretty badass. Dungeon Siege 3 supports 2-player local co-op or 4-player online co-op. While this is a cool feature in theory, the execution is not all that great. When you join a game, you select which character you want to play, but you end up taking over one of the host characters. So you have the gear and abilities that the host has assigned to them up to this point. If you're not the host, you're essentially a guest inside the host game, and you never really own your own character. I can deal with that, but what's really awkward is that the camera is fixed around the host. So you're forced to stick with them and you can't really do your own thing. To me, this is a really shitty way to implement multiplayer dungeon crawling. Plus the camera is fixed in a top-down view, which I didn't care for considering the single-player campaign allows you to get an over-the-shoulder view as well. In addition, I found the controls on the PC to be pretty bad overall. There's no mouse look, so you have to either use the keys to rotate the camera or move the mouse to the extreme edges of the screen. When you press down, it turns you around, but doesn't move the camera around, and it doesn't reverse the direction of the turn keys. It seems that the game was clearly designed for a controller and not a keyboard and mouse, which is a big disappointment for PC gamers. I finished the single player campaign in about 11 hours on the normal difficulty setting, including all side quests. For the most part, the difficulty at this level was spot on, but around 4 hours in, it escalated pretty quickly, requiring you to switch between both of your playstyle forms and use all abilities pretty frequently. Later dungeons even have traps that can mess you up and enemies that can just beat the crap out of you. There aren't any health potions in the game, but enemies drop orbs that replenish your supply, and again, all characters have abilities that heal them. This wasn't much of an issue on the normal difficulty, but stepping up to hardcore really makes your health regeneration abilities precious. The game world is certainly not open. It's not exactly linear either, but there are many fixed paths that really prevent good exploration like you'd expect in a dungeon crawler. You can only save your game at beacons spread throughout the world, but they are littered everywhere, so if by chance you do die, you're never going to have to backtrack too far. The graphics and animation to me seemed a bit dated, as they weren't really fluid or realistic. The characters don't look like they're on the ground, and the shadows aren't all that great even when maxed out. Perhaps I've just been spoiled by The Witcher 2's beautiful graphics. When zoomed in on conversations, things look nice, but general gameplay seems a bit washed out. With this, the game runs wonderfully, seldom dipping below 60 frames per second with the graphics maxed, which likely means it will run on a wide variety of machines. While I don't believe the graphics are top-notch, the art direction is beautiful and you'll travel through some really elaborate environments. In addition, I didn't really care for the voice acting initially, but over time it started to grow on me, especially that of Angeli, whom I chose as my primary character. Once you get into Dungeon Siege 3, it becomes strangely addictive. Waiting to see what's around the next corner and wondering what loot you're going to come across kept me excited to continue to play the game. While there isn't a wide variety of moves and abilities, the enemies that you'll fight keep you on your toes and nothing really feels that repetitive, even after several hours in. The most important thing for me to emphasize is that this game was clearly designed for the consoles first and foremost. The controls on the PC absolutely support playing with a controller over a keyboard and mouse, and the lack of advanced graphics just goes to reiterate that the PC version of the game was an unfortunate afterthought. Overall, this was a fun game, but if you're on a tight budget, I'd probably hold out until the release or beta of Diablo 3. Check out the full write-up and screenshots over at ZeitgeistGameReview.com. Stay up to date by following me on Twitter and Facebook, and make sure to check out all of the other great gaming entertainment on the Game Station. Don't forget to subscribe and press the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching.